Practice holding the name. When the water-clearing pearl is tossed in muddy water, the muddy water becomes clear. When the Buddha's name enters a confused mind, the confused mind attains to the Buddha. This sutra takes faith, vows, and holding the name as its doctrine. Having discussed faith and vows, we shall now discuss holding the name. Reciting the Buddha's name is like throwing a pearl into muddy water so that the muddy water becomes clear. This clear water pearl can purify even the filthiest water. Recitation of the Buddha's name is like this pearl. Who can count the false thoughts which fill our minds and succeed one another endlessly like waves on the sea? When the Buddha's name enters a confused mind, the confused mind becomes the Buddha. Recite the name once and there is one Buddha in your mind. Recite it 10 times and there are 10 Buddhas. Recite it 100 times and there are 100 Buddhas. The more you recite, the more Buddhas there are. Say, Namo Amitabha Buddha. There's a Buddha thought in your mind. When you are mindful of the Buddha is mindful of you. It's like communication by radio or radar. You recite here, and it's received there. But if you don't recite, nothing is received, so you must hold and recite the name. In the Dharma ending age, recitation of the Buddha's name is a most important Dharma door. Don't take it lightly. Every time Dhyana Master Young Ming Shou, the 6th patriarch of the Pure Land School, recited the Buddha's name, a transformation Buddha came out of his mouth. Those with the 5 eyes and 6 spiritual penetrations could see it. When you recite the Buddha's name, you emit a light which frightens all weird creatures and strange ghosts away. They run far, far away and leave you alone. So the merit and virtue of holding the Buddha's name is inconceivable. Holding and reciting the Buddha's name, you should, as it says in the Doctrine of the Mean, grasp it tightly in your fist. Do not let it go. Thought after thought, recite the name. There are 4 methods of reciting. 1. Contemplating and thinking Buddha recitation. 2. Contemplating an image Buddha recitation. 3. Real mark Buddha recitation. 4. Holding the name Buddha recitation. The first, contemplating and thinking Buddha recitation, consists of the contemplation of Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha's body is of golden hue, his fine marks radiant beyond compare. His white light is as high as 5 Mount Sumerus. His purple eyes as clear and vast as 4 great seas. Countless transformation Buddhas appear within the light, with transformation bodhisattvas, also limitless. His 48 vows take living beings across. In 9 grades of lotuses they ascend to the other shore. Amitabha Buddha's appearance is the result of the perfection of his merit and virtue. He has all of the 32 marks and the 80 minor characteristics of a Buddha, and his bright light is incomparable. Between his eyebrows there are fine white beams of light as big as 5 Mount Sumerus, and his eyes are as large as 4 great seas. How big do you think his body is? There are 9 grades of lotuses. 1. Superior Superior 2. Superior Middle 3. Superior Inferior 4. Middle Superior 5. Middle Middle 6. Middle Inferior 7. Inferior Superior 8. Inferior Middle 9. Inferior Inferior. Each of the 9 grades also has 9 ranks, making 81 in all. Living beings in all of these grades are led to the other shore nirvana. The second kind of Buddha recitation, contemplating the image, consists of making offerings to an image of Amitabha Buddha and reciting his name. While contemplating it, contemplate, and in time you will have success. When you achieve the third, real mark recitation, even if you try, you cannot stop reciting the Buddha's name. The recitation flows like water and lives within you. This is the state of the Buddha recitation samadhi. Reciting and yet not reciting and yet reciting. The fourth kind of Buddha recitation is that of holding the name. both moving and still. One recites, Namo Amitabha Buddha. Recitation must be clear and distinct, and the three karmas of body, mouth, and mind must be pure. The mouth is free from the four evil karmas of 1. Abusive language, 2. Profanity, 3. Lying, and 4. Gossip. And the body is without the three evil karmas of 5. Killing, 6. Stealing, or 7. Sexual misconduct. The mind has no 8. Greed, 9. Hatred, or 10. Stupidity. When one is free of the 10 evil deeds, then the karma of body, mouth, and mind is pure. In this way, one thought pure is one thought of the Buddha. When every thought is pure, every thought is of the Buddha. The pure heart is like the moon in the water. The mind in samadhi is like the cloudless sky. If you can recite so completely that you enter the Buddha recitation samadhi, then hearing the wind, it's Namo Amitabha Buddha, and hearing the rain, it's Namo Amitabha Buddha. Every sound you hear recites the Buddha's name. The water flows, the wind blows. Proclaiming the Mahayana, the Chinese poet Su Tiangpo said, "Of the colors of the mountain, none are not his vast, long tongue. Of the sounds of the streams, all are the clear, pure sound. All the mountain's colors are the Buddha's long tongue." Proclaiming the wonderful Dharma, this is the attainment of the Buddha recitation samadhi. So I wrote this verse. If you recite the Buddha's name, reciting without cease, the mouth recite Amita, and makes things of a piece. Scattered thoughts do not arise, samadhi you attain. For rebirth in the pure land, your hope is not in vain. If all day you detest the suffering saha's pain, make rebirth in ultimate bliss your mind's essential aim. Cut off the red dust thoughts within your mind. Put down impure reflections, and pure thoughts you will find. Recite the Buddha's name from morning to night, and your confused thoughts will not arise. You will naturally attain the Buddha recitation samadhi, and be reborn in the land of ultimate bliss, according to your will. You know that the Saha world is full of pain and suffering, so cut off worldly pleasures. And have no thoughts of sexual desire, craving, or struggling for fame and profit. Put down all worldly concerns and view them as false. Seek rebirth, ultimate bliss. This thought of rebirth is extremely important. The verse clearly explains the principles of reciting the Buddha's name. Holding and reciting the name is like picking up something in your hand and never letting it go. Recite Namo Amitabha Buddha every day and chase out your scattered thoughts. This Dharma door fights poison with poison. False thinking is like poison, and unless you counter it with poison, you will never cure it. Reciting the Buddha's name is fighting false thinking with false thinking. It is like sending out an army to defeat an army, to fight a battle to end all battles. If you have a good defense, other countries won't attack. Constant recitation drives out false thinking so that you may attain the Buddha recitation samadhi. The third of the five-fold profound meanings, then, is to take faith, vows, and holding the name as the doctrine.